So this is my first ever YouTube video and the first episode in what I hope will be a series of me rewatching and kind of informally analyzing Druck Season 3. I've never properly filmed or edited anything before, so go easy on me. I know it's not going to be the best, but I decided that if I was going to start somewhere with making videos, it was probably going to be Scum related in some way, because I'm a freak and I'm obsessed with everything. So I watched Druck for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and ever since then it has been taking up just way too much real estate in my head, so I just need to get it out into the world in some way, whether I upload these or not, whether anyone sees these or not. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, especially Season 3. I've been looking up the music and trying to analyze shots like I'm some kind of film connoisseur, which I'm not. I've taken 2 film classes in my life, and then promptly switched my major out of film. So these aren't first reactions. That's the biggest thing that I want to say. I really just wanted to make videos talking about the things that I've noticed since rewatching Druck on my own before this. And I don't want it to be as formal as a video essay, because I don't have the editing skills to do that yet. And also I don't have an overarching thesis about the season or anything like that. I don't have one particular theme that I want to talk about throughout this entire thing. I want to touch on a bunch of different things. I want to touch upon cinematography and music and acting, character development in general, a bunch of big plot points and how they connect, parallels, stuff like that, how they compare to other remakes as well. I want it to be more formal and more analysis based than a first time reaction would be, but definitely less so than a video essay would be. So if that's not what you're looking for, this is not the right place to start. So sorry. Watch Druck Season 3 first, and then maybe if you want to, you can come and rewatch it with me. And if you haven't seen it before, I will give you the link that I use to watch not only Druck, but all of the remakes. I'll put it in the description so you can watch. You don't need a VPN for it, because it's all either on Google Drive or Mega or other things like that us Scum fans know a little bit too well. So if for some reason somehow you haven't seen Scum and its remakes, I will be your dealer, and Druck can be your gateway drug. I'm sorry, and also you're welcome. So like I said, I will be referencing probably other remakes, not that much. You don't have to watch every other remake, but I do plan on at least comparing Mateo to some of the other Isaks, especially the ones that I really like. I don't know if I'm going to spoil huge things about the other remakes, but just as a disclaimer, I might. I just might. So I'm telling you now. I'm not going to be scripting this that much. I'm definitely going to be giving myself little bullet points that I want to talk about, just to make sure that I'm not fumbling over everything, because no one wants to watch that. But I just kind of want to hit home that this is not a super formal video essay kind of thing. I am not talented enough for that. I love Scum. I love Druck. I haven't been able to stop thinking about Mateo and David since I watched them for the first time, so those are my qualifications, is what I'm saying. I have a degree in Mateo. Is that relatable or creepy? I don't know. Whatever. So that's it. That's pretty much all I have. This was already long enough. I talk a lot, is the last disclaimer. Yeah, that's really the last one. So I'm going to shut the hell up now, and we can start with Episode 1, Season 3 of Druck. There are headcanons that Leonie and Sarah are together, and I don't make the rules, but they are. They're dating, I promise. Okay. This is the first thing I want to talk about, the first shot we see of Matteo. So the music kind of like blares and fades out. It breaks completely. And I feel like in this moment right here, we're finally in Matteo's point of view. Before this, we were just like looking around the party. We were kind of like an omniscient presence almost. But right now, we are with Matteo. We feel his loneliness. We feel how disjointed he is physically, mentally, emotionally, in every way from this party. So, unlike in the OG, which starts in a similar way and kind of has us go around the party and looking at characters that we already know who are having like a great time and dancing, just kind of catching us up to characters, and then shows Isak in the bathroom smoking with his friends and also kind of having a good time. Not gonna lie, Isak looks like he's enjoying himself. This is different. This is already different. We can tell that in the first shot that we get of Matteo, the show is going to have a darker tone. Matteo is a less happy Isak. He just is. Whether it's undiagnosed depression or not, he is sadder. He's more alone. Definitely more alone, more disjointed from everyone. Oh, he looks so out of it. So out of it. Kind of like being blocked and suffocated by those people, trying to force himself to look at what he thinks he should be attracted to. I want to talk about this too. So the first thing that we see Matteo try to do is escape. Like, he wants to remove himself from the situation. He obviously doesn't feel comfortable. He feels alone, so he's going to try to go find his friends. And he gets up, he tries to do that, and Sara, we see Sara physically bring him with her and force him out of his way. She forces him out of the decision that he's actively making for himself. Action and passivity, I think, is really important in Matteo's character development throughout this season. I think one of the biggest changes that he goes through is going from this really passive, apathetic person in pretty much all aspects of his life, his romantic interests, his friends, his self, his sense of self. He goes from being like that to being a lot more active, which we'll see examples of later. And then as they're dancing, he looks like he's asleep. He looks like he's dead. I love the boy squad in Druck. I think they have the best boy squad, easily. Good chemistry, supportive. Oh, maybe this isn't the best example of them being supportive, but they don't know. When he goes to sit with the boys, this is, like I said, it's different from the OG because we actually see him physically insert himself with the guys rather than showing us Isak being there already, which I think is interesting. I think that's a big thing with Matteo, is how often he leaves places and how often, or actually how seldom, he puts himself in a place with other people and which people he does that with. So he finally gets to make that active decision that we saw him try to make before being yanked by Sara. He thinks he's going to find some refuge with his friends, and they're talking about heterosexual sex. Because of course they are. Of course they are. And even though he's right in the middle of them, he's barely a part of the conversation. Yeah, you can see his face kind of change there, and he's just like, I'm just gonna smoke. You know, I don't feel welcome here that much, so I'm just gonna medicate. Abdi and Carlos. Amazing. Also dating. Just want to make that clear. You bet. You bet, he says. The only thing he says in this entire conversation is, like, he makes one comment about it looking like it's exhausting. The sex position looks exhausting. And then he says, you bet, when Carlos asks him if he and Sara have had sex. So one of them is just, like, complete fluff. You know, like, just to say something. That's what it felt like to me. And then saying "you bet" is just an appeasement, pretty much, just so that the boys won't. I'll just drop the subject. And I think that's really sad that the only two things that he says in this conversation with his friends, best friends, are one of them is fluff and one of them is just like, get off my back, like, please. So his first action, trying to go from one place of loneliness to hopefully a better place, is met with him feeling pretty much just as lonely as before. Which I think is interesting, that the first action he takes is met with kind of negative reinforcement, even though the boys don't know. He knows, and he's left alone at the end of the scene by his own choice as well. So after first deciding to leave a lonely place to try to be with people, he then decides, nah, I'm just gonna make another choice to remove myself from those same people that I thought I would find refuge in. And I think that's really sad. And it shows perfectly, once again, how alone Mateo feels. Take a shot every time I mention loneliness in this episode. It's gonna happen a lot. And I have my notes down here, by the way, too, if I'm looking down sometimes. I have so many notes. So I'm gonna try to shut up. I love that. He just physically pushed himself between Yunas and the girl he was dancing with. I love that. Oh my god, I love Carlos. Druck is like legitimately so funny. So funny. That's just one of so many moments. Especially Carlos and Abdi. Yay, we get to see Mateo's room. It's a fucking pigsty. But a great song. Really great song. I love this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in all of Druck. It's so simple, but I think it's done so perfectly with everything. The way it's shot, the music, the acting. Love it. This is also something that I found a little bit funny, but I don't know if anyone else will. The fact that he looks first at his mom's message, which is like a Bible verse, and then immediately Abdi texted him about, yo, where's my weed? I don't know, I just think that juxtaposition is really funny. More subtle comedy from Druck. This is the part that I really want to talk about. It's so gentle, so soft. I'm probably gonna describe Mateo as soft many times throughout the course of this series, because he is. He's very gentle and quiet and more subdued and introverted than the other Isaks. Okay, so I want to stop it there because I want to talk about this song. So it's called How Have You Been by Tom Rosenthal. And there are 3 artists in particular that make multiple appearances during the season that I think are important. And Tom Rosenthal is one of them. The other 2 are Rai X and James Blake. So this is our first instance of any of those artists. So I'm going to read some of the lyrics to this song and how perfect they are. Lying in the corner of my world, didn't hear a sound, hiding under my head, never to be found. How have you been today? I woke up, but it didn't go away. Will you not think of me tonight? This entire song just, it feels like a melancholic hug. It's the feeling to me of when you hug someone right before they go on like a trip. And these lyrics, they give me that same vibe of longing and a slight hopefulness, but mostly just kind of you're resigned to what's happening, even though you're kind of sad about it. And that's exactly how Mateo is feeling right now. He knows that Yunas doesn't like him because there's a girl's number right on his arm. And he knows that he can't be with him, and this is the best that he can do, is just like kind of gently try to stroke his hair. I think it's just really cool too how right when they pan down to the number, the lyrics, "Will you not think of me tonight?" are playing, and I just I love that. I really do. I know a lot of people don't like when music in movies and TV shows are like super on the nose. But I feel like for this it works because the song itself is very subdued and you might not even notice it because it's sung very softly. So I think it works. Yeah, the scene just gets to me every single time that I watch it because you can see the longing and you can feel the longing. And then when they pan down to the number, you can also feel like the jabbing, but also expected heartbreak from Mateo because he knows that Jonas doesn't like him, but it's still just, ugh, it hurts. It hurts him, therefore it hurts us. It does. It hurts me. And then we have comedic relief. Thank God. I needed it. You get the sense immediately that Mateo is not a very good flatmate. And here Jonas jokes about his sexuality because he's so comfortable with it, which I think is interesting. It also spurs Mateo to leave. I love Jonas. I really do. What a man. He can make pancakes and he doesn't have toxic masculinity. Hello? I love this. I love this shot right here where they're all just like smiling at the camera and Mateo's not there. It's another instance in which Mateo is physically distancing himself from the people that in reality he's supposed to be close with, but he's just not. He feels alone even with them. So even Jonas is literally in the photo of like the apartment group, even though he doesn't even live there. And it seems like he's taking a more active role in the community of the apartment than Mateo is. You know, he's the one making pancakes and being like kind of delighted about it. Even though Mateo is like, yeah, I'll go get rolls. You get the sense that he's just doing it so he can leave. This is yet another community in which Mateo is isolated and that he chooses to remove himself from. It's so funny. Come on. That headshot? First of all, talent. Second of all, fucking hilarious, okay? Druck is so funny. Druck is a comedy. This song is really good. It's called Nothing Else by Angus and Julie Stone. They don't really use it in like a super meaningful way in this, but it's still a really good song. And there's another example of Mateo being totally passive. Just cool. Dude, I don't know how Sarah doesn't fucking break up with his ass already. The boys are immediately talking about girls again. Mateo says nothing. He just kind of smiles. I like how they put Hannah and Jonas's story kind of in the background of season 2 and season 3. I think it's done a lot better than the original. Okay, before we get into the scene, I want to talk about just how Mateo feels like he's kind of floating between two groups. Like he doesn't really feel like he belongs in the boy group. I'm not saying he feels like he belongs in the girl group either, because he definitely doesn't, but in this scene it feels like he's just bouncing between the groups. It feels like he's lost in the physical space. Just like from the party scene in the first clip, he's trying to find a safe place somewhere, but the first place he goes to, the guys are just talking about girls, and then Abdi mentions the weed, and then in the second place, the girls are just kind of like a means to an end to Mateo. And then we have our first sighting. Okay, so slow-mo shots, just slow-mo shots in general, I feel like they can kind of be hit or miss, which I get. Sometimes they can feel like super dramatic and just kind of awkward, but honestly, I always like them. I'm not gonna say always, because there are definitely a few that kind of missed the mark for me. But just in Scum in general, like in the OG and in Druck, I think they're used really well. I always felt that slow-mo was used as a tool to further enter the mind of the character. It's not just like thrown in there for no reason. I feel like it's used in places that make sense. Like obviously in that moment, Matteo sees this guy who's gorgeous, so it feels like time is kind of standing still for him. And instead of distracting from the moment, I feel like it just brings us closer to it. So that's why I usually love the slow-mo in Scum, but specifically this one. So the song is called Heaven by The Blaze, and I'm going to read some of the lyrics because they're real good. Will you surrender, restless in a war? We're sailing, farewell love, we praise our shared destiny. Be sure to embrace the dreams, I'm more than a dead and gone. Trust in me and set me free, you're hiding your love. I don't wish to try this alone, I feel alone, why shouldn't I go? I feel so tried, I feel so alone. The dreams turn alive in the heavens when we surrender. I love that song. I think that song is absolutely perfect. It sounds so dreamy. At least the beginning of it, the part that they use, it kind of picks up after. But it's so beautiful. It's about surrendering to love and your true feelings and feeling like you're in heaven once you do that. And it's just, especially knowing, the trials and tribulations that Matteo and David go through to finally be together. It's a really, really beautiful choice. Another amazing moment in the Druck soundtrack. I think it's interesting to see surrender as an active verb rather than a passive one, because up until this point, and even like further in the season, we see Matteo surrendering to Sarah and surrendering to his relationship with Sarah, and it's in a passive way. He's surrendering by not allowing himself to be who he really is and feel how he truly feels. He's surrendering by just like kind of giving up. But in this song and in this moment, it's a completely different kind of surrendering. So instead of surrendering to apathy like Matteo usually does, this song and seeing David for the first time asks and challenges Matteo to surrender to his true feelings, the exact opposite of apathy. It's a kind of surrendering that calls Matteo to be more active rather than being more passive. One more thing before we move on is I think it's interesting how this first meeting is framed. Whereas in the OG, Isak first sees Evan, and it's a very like mundane, quick look. He's also completely surrounded by his friends. It's in the lunchroom, and he just kind of catches Evan's eye from the other side of the room. And that's like it. That's the first time they see each other. It is very mundane. It's not dramatic at all. It's more dramatic than the original, but I think it definitely works for Matteo as a character who we assume is very in his head a lot of the time. Isak is a lot more calm and collected. He's still a mess. He's still a disaster, but Matteo is definitely more so.